welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Gabby. Thank you so much for stopping by. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about all of the books that I read in the month of March. If you watched my March TBR, you would have saw that I decided to kind of give myself a little bit of a challenge this month, and I decided to do the Read the Rainbow challenge. So throughout the month, I had to read books that had the colors of the rainbow on the cover. Not all of the colors, but just one of the colors, and I had to read them. I didn't read them in order, but I read all 6 colors of the rainbow. I was able to complete this prompt. However, you do not know which books from that video I decided to pick for each color. So without further ado, let's get into the video. For the book with red on the cover, I picked up Death by Dumpling by Viven Chien. This is a cozy mystery that follows our main character, Lana Lee, who is recently going through a heartbreak. She's going through a breakup, and she's back working for her family's restaurant, Holy Noodle House, which is so funny to me. One day, the owner of the Chinese plaza is found dead, and he's found without his EpiPen, and it was ruled that he died from an allergic reaction to shellfish, which he was highly allergic to, and everybody in the town knew that. Lana was the person who delivered his food, so she is looked at as one of the suspects, as well as the cook of Holy Noodle House. So of course, in cozy mystery fashion, Lana goes around and does some digging to try to figure out what happened to this owner and clear her name as well as Holy Noodle House's name. I adored this book so much. I thought it was very fast-paced. It had a glimpse of humor in it. It was executed just perfectly. I'm so excited to read the next book in the series. I ended up rating this one a 5-star. For the book with orange on the cover, I actually went with When in Rome by Sarah Adams. I talked about this book in my February wrap-up, so I'm not going to go into detail about it now. This book was so good. It was probably my favorite book from February. And this author is very similar to Courtney Welsh. Her writing style is very fast-paced. It's so easy to get into, to love, and enjoy. The banter in her books are always so good, but it's always a clean romance. I counted this book for February, but I actually finished it on the first day of March, so I'm counting it twice. The book that I read for yellow on the cover was actually The Bodyguard by Katherine Center. I picked this one up because it was also my in-person book club pick. This book follows our main character, Hannah, who is actually a bodyguard, and she gets hired to be a bodyguard for this actor who is visiting his hometown in order to take care of his sick mother. He has a stalker and needs a bodyguard to kind of control the situation, but he doesn't want to worry his family even more. So in order to do that and to hide the fact that he has a woman bodyguard, he ends up telling his family that Hannah is his girlfriend. So it has that fake dating trope in it that I just love and adore. I thought this one was funny. The main character is so relatable and likable. I laughed, I smiled, and I just had a good time reading this. It was such a quick read. I think I ended up rating this one a 4-star. For green on the cover, I ended up picking Behind the Bookcase by Mark Steensland. This one is a middle grade spooky book. This one follows our main character, Sarah, and her family just moved into her grandmother's house because her grandmother had just recently passed and they need to fix up the house and get it ready to sell. Sarah and her little brother, Billy, are told they have to help. Boring fixer-upper work turns into a spooky mystery when Sarah finds an unfinished letter from her grandmother that says, "Strange things are happening behind the bookcase." This one was such a trip. It was actually really spooky for a middle grade book, and I just adored it so much. And I loved seeing the connection between Sarah and her grandmother that you get in this one. And I mean, just look at that cover. Anything that has to do with spooky middle grade books, and then the fact that this one she literally travels into like different universe behind a bookcase is just so good to me. For blue on the cover, I actually read a graphic novel that I don't own physically. I read it on Libby, but that is Lightfall, Shadow of the Bird. This is the second book in this graphic novel series. The first one is Lightfall, Girl and the Gualdurian, which is I think how you pronounce it. This one, I won't tell you about Light Shadow Lightfall, Shadow of the Bird, because it is the second one. But Lightfall follows a young girl named Bee who was walking through the woods one day and meets Cad. He's the only Gualdurian left, so to speak, because he thinks that the rest of his family got washed away or destroyed. So Cad is trying to find his missing people and believes that the only person that is able to help him is Bee's pig wizard grandfather. So when they arrive home, because Bee meets him and she's like, I will take you there, I'll ask him to help you out. But when they arrive home, they find him missing. Bee and Cad head out and try to find her grandfather, and they have such a wild journey, and just it was such a cute read. So that's what happens in Lightfall. And then for blue on the cover, I counted Lightfall, Shadow of the Bird, which, like I said, is the second one. But if you have not read this graphic novel series, you definitely need to pick it up. I believe there's going to be a third one, but I rated the first one a 5 and the second one a 4. So I definitely highly recommend that series. For purple on the cover, I ended up picking up Colleen Hoover, All Your Perfects, which shout out to my friend Gwen from Gwendolyn Kinsinger or Lavender Mud for sending me this one, because I loved it. This one follows our main character, Quinn, who just gets back and wants to surprise her fiance at his apartment. When she gets there, there is a man standing outside. His name is Graham, and she's like, why is this person just like tailgating my fiance's apartment? She finds out that Graham's girlfriend, as you probably guessed it, inside the apartment with Ethan. So their engagement gets broken off, and you actually find out that Graham and Quinn end up together. A trigger warning for this is infertility. Quinn struggles with that, and it's kind of affecting her and Graham's marriage. You kind of see them struggling. You don't know if they're going to be able to survive this or get through this and stay together. There's one element of this that I'm not going to mention because I don't want to spoil it, but just know that it was so heartwarming and it broke me in a million pieces. But it was such a good story. This one, besides Verity, is probably my favorite Coho book that I have read, romance-wise. Verity, I don't think anything could ever top it, but this one, romance-wise, is by far my favorite Colleen Hoover book that I've read. But like I said, this one definitely kind of follows like emotional abuse and the struggles of anxiety and depression and struggling with infertility. So if any of those are triggers for you, definitely look into that before picking this one up. But I love this one so much. Lastly, for pink on the cover, I ended up counting a graphic novel called Feelings, A Story Through Seasons, or A Story in Seasons. This is a graphic novel that depicts how anxiety and moods change within the seasons. Y'all know of seasonal depression, and it was like the perfect book to read going from winter into spring, because in summer and in spring you get those hopes of like high feelings and just amazing things are happening and you're in good moods, and then it shows the anxiety and loneliness that you might feel going into the winter months and not being able to get outside and get that fresh air and that sun. I just thought this one was very cute, so that is what I read for pink on the cover. I do want to talk about the other books that I have read. I participated in one readathon in the month of March, which was Let's Get Graphic, hosted by Keisha from A Book Like You, Gwen from Lavender Mud or Gwendolyn Kinsinger, and Elizabeth from Ponytails and Paperbacks. So for that, I read Lightfall 1, Lightfall 2, Seasons or Feelings, A Story in Seasons. I also read Witch Hat Atelier Volume 2. I loved the first one, and this one was just as good, so I need to pick up the third book. I read Unfamiliar, I read Sheets, I read Hollow, and I read Stepping Stones. So those were the graphic novels that I read for Let's Get Graphic. And then I read one other novel this month, and it was none other than Throne of Glass. I don't have my copy up here, but I loved this series so much. ACOTAR was one of my favorite series of all time, and I knew I needed more of Sarah J. Maas. So I ended up picking Throne of Glass up. Loved it, which I've heard the first one is kind of a different vibe or feeling from the rest of the series, and I actually just today got my audio available on Libby for Crown of Midnight. So I think that's what I'm going to be starting later. But I am just so excited to be starting this series. I ended up rating Throne of Glass a 5-star, and I just had such a good reading month in the month of March, as you can tell. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this. Stay tuned for more videos from me. I have a really exciting vlog coming soon, and you might see some friends in it. I don't know. Or familiar faces, I should say. But thank you all for watching this video. I will see you all in the next one. Bye, friends!